Hi everyone, and welcome to this little snippet of the kind of content that I'm going to be looking at as part of our wonderful Ebb and Flow 6-week Cortisol Reset program that we're running starting in February. So I am Vicky, I am one half of Ebb and Flow, and my passion is yoga and yoga philosophy, and specifically how we can use these ancient frames of looking at well-being in a modern world. How can we embrace ancient yet still highly relevant concepts to support our holistic well-being? So I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of something called the 5 koshas, and I'm going to frame this very, very simply. I'm going to assume that anybody watching this has no idea what a kosha is. So forgive me if you know better, but always good to have a little revisit. So in yoga philosophy, we talk about the 5 koshas, or layers of the self, and they basically provide a holistic framework for understanding how to support our complete well-being. So when I use the word holistic, it just means whole, all of, supporting every aspect of our well-being. So sometimes I talk about this in terms of being like a Russian doll, one of those stacking dolls where you just keep opening it and there's a smaller one and a smaller one and a smaller one. If you look at this graphic here, I've tried to portray the same kind of idea. So I will start on the outside and we will go inwards. So to begin with, we have the Annamaya Kosha, or the physical body, sometimes known as the food sheath. And this is everything that you can touch and feel and prove. It's your bone, it's your flesh, it's the fat, it's everything physical, okay? And we nourish this with food, we nourish it with exercise, we nourish it with rest. Yeah, you get the idea. It's the physical body. We then move inward into the Pranamaya Kosha, or the energy body, sometimes known as the breath body. And this is all about your energy and your life force. Then we move a little deeper down into the Manamaya Kosha, so the little light green, tealy colour one here, which is our mental sheath, or our mental body. So this is very much your thinking mind. This is where your thoughts are. This is where your emotions are. Okay. Then we move inwards to your Vijnanamaya Kosha, or your wisdom sheath or wisdom body. And this is all about inner wisdom, feeling connected to yourself and that kind of intuition. And then we go deeper into the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss body or the bliss sheath. And depending on your kind of spiritual ideas, this could be where you connect to something larger than yourself. So that could be nature, it could be religion, it could be connection to pure joy. It could be the feeling of just interconnectedness to all things. And yeah, so that is a very, very brief roadmap of the 5 koshas. So let's move on to how we can think about the way that cortisol and high levels of cortisol might be affecting all 5 of these layers. So, first of all, looking at the physical, the Annamaya Kosha, our physical body. So if we are experiencing high cortisol levels, we could be experiencing all kinds of physical symptoms. So just a few off the top of my head here: fatigue, poor digestion, tension in the body, bloating, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, a feeling of real heaviness in the body, which is where this kind of fatigue can come in. Chronic pain, things like fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, again, to do with energy. Wow, I mean, the list of physical symptoms is really endless. And as this is literally just a taster video, I will leave it there. But yeah, lots and lots of stuff physically going on with high cortisol levels in the body, and some of them really quite shocking. Moving on to the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy layer, cortisol, according to yogic philosophy, disrupts the flow of prana, which is our life force energy. Chinese medicine would call it chi energy. You could also think of it as the fact that it's going to make you feel sluggish. It could give you a real feeling of, that post lunch fug and slump that lots of us get, where we feel like we need a nap, we feel like we need a rest. And you don't have to live like that. Things like caffeine are going to affect this layer as well. If you find yourself heavily relying on stimulants, like caffeine and sugar and other things that are going to kind of pep you up, that's going to be to do with the Pranamaya Kosha. Moving on to the mind now, or the mental emotional layer. So again, just off the top of my head, we're thinking stress, negative thought patterns, excessive worrying, emotional overwhelm, that kind of fight or flight thinking where we can't think straight, and also brain fog. I am an almost 47 woman who is well into perimenopause, so I am really, really keenly aware of things like brain fog that affect lots of women my age. Lowering cortisol can have an outstanding impact on this issue. So moving swiftly on to the wisdom layer, when cortisol dominates here, we can find our inner guidance feeling very clouded. We can feel very overwhelmed and like we don't have a moment to ourselves. We don't get to feel like we have the quiet moments to reflect and to tune into our intuition. And then going deeper still into our bliss layer, Anandamaya Kosha. Well, of course, if we're chronically stressed and overwhelmed, or, we could have gone the other way and gone into burnout, where is the joy? There's a complete barrier there to joy and any kind of spiritual connection. So, yeah, that is a very whirlwind tour of how excess cortisol can affect all of these 5 layers, and you can quickly see how the whole being then becomes really adversely affected. So on the next slide, we're going to be looking at the upside of all this, the benefits of lowering that cortisol and working with the 5 koshas to really think about supporting that holistic health. Okay, so let's move on to something a bit more positive now and look at how the 5 koshas respond to reducing our cortisol levels. Now, again, just to remind you, this is something that we'll be covering in a lot of depth in our 6-week. For today, this is literally just giving you a little sprinkle of an idea of the kind of work that I'll be doing with you in terms of yoga. So, the physical body, Annamaya Kosha, by reducing cortisol and by embracing practices like yoga, qigong, a bit of somatic movement, walking, just some gentle stretches, nourishing the body with that kind of gentle movement, but also a nourishing diet. And we will be giving you so many ideas on nutrition and really delicious foods that you can start to build into your everyday. We're going to create space for the body to release stress and restore balance. And you are going to very quickly, and I mean very quickly, I have been following this since, well, I think it's been just over 2 weeks now. We got through Christmas and there's been some ill health in the family. So it's been quite difficult, but I think I've been exclusively eating for low cortisol now for just over 2 weeks, and the results are amazing. So I have lost weight. I was not trying to. I wasn't going into this thinking I was going to lose weight, but I have lost weight. I am no longer as hungry because I'm eating more. Yes, I'm eating more. I am eating more of the right stuff. Okay. So I'm feeling a lot less hungry. My appetite is back in control. I have less body aches. I am less tired in my body physically, that physical tiredness. My tummy is flat for the first time in months, because cortisol causes bloating. It's not always, sometimes you feel like you've got extra weight in your belly, could just be bloating caused by too much cortisol. My digestion is better. I just overall just feel so much better. And coming on to the next thing, because it all of these things interweave, then none of them are in isolation. So physical and energy together for this one. But I home educate. I run 3 businesses now, and I home educate 2 tweens and teens. I'm very busy, but sometimes once I'd finished the home ed portion of the day and we got to about 2:30, I got into such a slump that I just absolutely had to go and lay my head down, maybe for a nap, maybe just for 20 minutes to close my eyes. I have not had to do this for the whole of January, despite having to have a wisdom tooth extracted, despite having many sleepless nights due to my own pain and due to my daughter being ill. I have not had to nap. It's just absolutely unbelievable to me, but it is what it is. My energy levels are incredible on this lifestyle. So under the surface of that energy layer, my circulation will have been improving and my blood pressure will have been regulated, and all of that is going to help. I have also been focusing on breathwork, quite invigorating breath work. We do that in yoga as yoga practitioners. I have been making a real effort to incorporate breath work into my day-to-day, even if it's just 5 minutes every day, just to be mindful on the breath and just encouraging deeper, more nourishing breaths overall. So it's a really beautiful way to regulate the nervous system when we breathe, and so many people aren't breathing correctly. I put that in little air quotes, and I was one of those people before I trained to be a yoga teacher. So it's something else we'll be covering in our course, is just making sure that we're all breathing in the most efficient and effective way. So moving on to the Annamaya Kosha, the mental emotional layer, I have definitely noticed that I've been able to deal with stressful, with frustrating situations so much better. I feel calmer, I'm thinking more clearly, and definitely feel like I have been much more resilient. And again, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am somebody who was on antidepressants for a good 7 years, and I stopped them in November, having tapered down, obviously, and followed very carefully the advice of the doctors. I really did not expect to be sitting here in January saying how calm, balanced and resilient I feel. But I do. So very grateful for that. Moving onwards to the wisdom, the Annamaya Kosha. So finding more of these quiet moments in my day to reflect, journaling, meditating, things like that. I really do feel, again, like I am able to focus on more of what's important to me. I'm able to keep coming back to what my core values are, which is something that, as a trained life coach and as somebody that supports many women with their mental well-being, and their holistic health, something I'm always saying, what are your core values? Make sure your life is aligning with that. I feel like I'm able to be really conscious and live more intentionally following this lifestyle. And then finally, the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss layer. Well, joy is enhanced. I do feel more peaceful. And I do feel, so my spiritual connection really is that connection to nature, and to that feeling that I don't quite know what it is, but there is something bigger than me, whether it's just universal consciousness, whether it's nature, whether it's love. I do feel more connected to that. So just bringing it all together, remembering that each kosha is a reflection of the whole, but none of them are islands. They are completely interconnected. If one is not nourished, if one is out of balance, they will all be out of balance. And just to remember that stress is not just a physical issue, it is a whole being experience. So thank you for sharing this space with me today. And if any of this resonated or you have any questions, please just let me know in the comments. Ask any questions you would like to know. I am going to be sharing this on my Soul Journey Holistic Yoga social media pages, but also obviously our Ebb and Flow social media. We do still have a few spaces left for our Cortisol Reset 6-week program that begins in February. I will drop a link down below. But if you have any questions at all, please do just get in touch. With Ebb and Flow, we are so passionate about supporting women's health, and we have lots and lots of ways of doing that. So if you haven't found us yet, we are at ebbandflowwellness.uk. We have a number of offerings. We have Pause the Week, which is a really special and free weekly session for women's wellbeing. We run a monthly women's circle, which is an affordable monthly touchstone for a small group of women to come together and look at ways of supporting holistic well-being. We run regular mini retreats, as you can see, and day retreats, and also some really lovely mother and daughter events as well. But if you want to look at the Cortisol Reset program, here it is down here. You can see there are available spots. I can confirm there are not many available spots for this one. So if you are interested, then I would recommend jumping on it as soon as possible. And yes, any questions at all on anything that I've covered today or anything to do with Ebb and Flow, please either get in touch with us or drop a comment underneath. Thanks so much for your time.